welcome to another BlackJack Day video and moving forward your journey to being a better BlackJack player and AP player. I am BlackJack Dave. I love to play BlackJack, talking about BlackJack and sharing the correct way to play BlackJack with others. Well, welcome back, everybody. I'd take the first 5 to 8 minutes just to review everything we learned about card counting so far. On the screen, I got a little review board, a little review of pictures. And look at the center picture. You got your negative running count, -1 through 6. Of course, it could be more, but negative. Then you got neutral in the middle, and you got the positive running counts. And if you recall, what makes a positive running count? 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if you recall, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6 has a value of +1. So if you look at on the side there, a 2, a 3, 4, 5, and 6 would be a value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that'd be a positive count of 5. On the other side, what makes up negative cards? 10, anything with a picture and a 10. So 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace have a value of -1. And going back to the 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the positive cards, these are good for a player's expectation. And then going back to the 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace, well, these cards is bad for a player's expectation. Now let's look at some key facts about card counting. Here's some recap of card counting basics. The running count is positive, and the undealt cards are richer in large cards, then the card counter has an edge. If the running count is negative, then the undealt cards are richer in small cards, and the card counter does not have the edge. If the running count is 0, there are an equal number of small and large cards in the unplayed cards, and the deck is considered neutral. When I tell people or people find out I'm a card counter, they all assume that popular myth that I'm keeping track of every single card. But as card counters, we just keep a knowledge of the ratio of large cards to small cards on the next deal by keeping track of all the cards that were played in the previous rounds. So we aren't memorizing every card, like I said, a myth, but only mentally adding the +1 and -1 tags assigned to each card that reflect its effort on a player's reputation when they are removed. So what do we do with this knowledge of the ratio of high cards to low cards? How do we use that to our advantage? Well, that's what we're going to talk about next. Counters then use their count to vary their bets the next hand as follows. They increase their bet size when the running count is positive because the undealt cards are richer in large cards, and decrease their bet size when the running count is negative because the unplayed cards are richer in small cards. So using this method of betting, card counters gain the upper hand over the casino because they will bet more money on positive counts when they have the edge, and they will bet less money on negative counts when the casino has the edge. Another point to keep in mind is counters lose more hands than they win, but they win more money than they lose. Well, how's that possible? Well, they have a lot more bet on the hands that they win compared to the amount of money bet on hands that they lose. It is really this simple, but not as simple to execute, as you will find as we continue our journey. If you were thinking, won't the dealer have just much chance to get the big cards as I would or the counter? The answer is yes. But as mentioned earlier, players can double down, pair split, and get paid 3-2 on blackjacks. Take insurance when it's offered, and unlike the dealer, don't have to hit a hard 12 through 16 when the undealt cards are richer in large cards. This is what creates the basic edge that card counters have over the casino. When the rest of the course is going to focus on the high-low counting system. At times, some of this material might appear overwhelming, but if you watch the videos more than once, practice the drills over and over and over again, I promise you the high-low counting system will not appear as difficult as it first appears to be. Not trying to scare you, and it's really simple, just counting +1, -1. It just takes practice. So let's look at the history of the high-low counting system. Back in 1963, a computer mathematician named Harvey Dubner gave a talk in Vegas at the computer conference, which he explained the high-low point count system that he devised. Before this, a little before this, a guy named Dr. Edward Thorpe produced a 10 count system that first appeared in the best selling Beat the Dealer book. And if you never read this book, don't read the first edition, read the second edition. And every blackjack player that's serious about the game should read this book just for the history. Dr. Thorpe, in his second edition, uh, 3 years later from his first edition, included Dubner's system for high-low. Several other mathematicians have studied and optimized the high-low over the years, most notably Stanford Wong in his classic book, Professional Blackjack. The high-low system is really the gold standard of any card counting system. If you remember the movie 21 and the famous MIT team, they used the high-low system as well. There are other card counting systems, and you can search Google for them, but they some are more accurate than high-low, but way more complex. And what's more important than your counting system being just a little bit better, when I say a little bit better, I'm talking at most a 0.5%, or probably more like a 0.25%. If it's too difficult and you're not keeping the count correct, that is very bad news. So the high-low system is the one I've been using and is one of the best, if not the best. Next, a small review about the high-low system. As discussed in previous Blackjack School videos 4 and 5 of the 201 series, the high-low system assigns a +1 value, a 0 value, and a -1 value to certain cards. So, for the cards 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they are given a +1. For the cards 7, 8, 9, they're assigned a 0. And cards 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace, they are assigned a -1. So now let's look at a little exercise to make sure we grasp this concept. All right. So let's say we're dealt a 2 card. We give that a tag of +1. So the sum or running count is now 1. All right. We now are dealt a 6. Or a 6 card is dealt is better. And that we assign that a tag of a +1. So now our running count is plus 2. Next, a 8 is dealt, and we know that's a 0. So our running count is unchanged, so it stays at 2. We now is dealt a 3. We assign that a plus 1 or a 1. And our running count is now a 3. Next, a ace is dealt. That's given a minus 1 or a D1 because D is much simpler to say than minus. 1 syllable versus 2. And now we have a running count of 2. Notice I'm leaving off the pluses. Just simpler to say and quicker to say in your mind. Next, we're dealt a jack, which you know as a value of a D1 or a minus 1. And our running count is now 1. Pretty. This example is a fairly easy example because we're adding and subtracting plus numbers and negative numbers. It's just a tad more difficult or just a little different when we add in negative numbers. So let's give the following a try. Here we have a minus 2 plus a 4, which gives us a running count of plus 2. Second example, we have a plus 2 plus a minus 4, which is a negative 2. And here we go, we got a plus 1 plus a minus 2 gives us a negative 1. And then a 3 plus a minus 4, that'll give us a negative 1, just right here. And add a positive 1 to it, and we get a 0. Not difficult, just a little different. Now, let's try and look at a software-based card counter for the running count. We looked at this 2 videos ago. Let's go practice it again for a few minutes, and then we'll end the video. This example is a fairly easy example because we're adding and subtracting plus numbers and negative numbers. It's just a tad more difficult or just a little different when we add in negative numbers. So let's give the following a try. Here we have a minus 2 plus a 4, which gives us a running count of plus 2. Second example, we have a plus 2 plus a minus 4, which is a negative 2. And here we go, we got a plus 1 plus a minus 2 gives us a negative 1. And then a 3 plus a minus 4, that'll give us a negative 1, just right here. And add a positive 1 to it, and we get a 0. Not difficult, just a little different. Now, let's try and look at a software-based card counter for the running count. We looked at this 2 videos ago. Let's go practice it again for a few minutes, and then we'll end the video. I'm not sure what's our favorite card counting software, but I think we looked at 2 so far. This is one of 2. And this is from BlackJack Apprenticeship. It's a free drill. And let's get started. We're doing dealing speed of 3, and we'll do maybe 2 minutes worth. And we're going to count the running count only. I was daydreaming there. Let me restart it because I wasn't keeping track. My bad. Here we go. I'm going to count out loud. Start down here first. So 0 at the bottom. 1, 0. And we're going to have 0. D1, 0. 1, 2, 3. Should be a 3. I'm going to wait for both cards before I determine. Remember, we're at 3. 2, 1. 1, 2, 0. D2, D2, D1. We should wait for 2 cards and see if they cancel each other out or add together. So we're at D1. D3 for down here. D5. 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 Up here. D5. D6. D6. D5. D5. D6. 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 If this is going too fast, just try it yourself and try it at 1. Remember, accuracy is more important than speed right now. Speed will come. This will be the last one. D5, D4, D4. These two cancel each other out. All right. Well, thanks for watching this video. And the next video, I believe, we'll be getting into the true count. I'm sorry. Yes, the true count, which is one above the running counts. So until then, may blackjacks, may play many a blackjacks be in your future. Thanks for watching.